Hello and welcome to this channel, you beautiful souls that you are. Today I'm talking about cults. I'm talking about the process of the Great Awakening, and I'm going to tell you a story about what the world is like, or what it's been like. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. First of all, I want to say big congratulations to Harry. Hello, Harry, from Peaceful Rebellion and other groups. Not from Peaceful Rebellion, he's in Peaceful Rebellion in the Telegram group. If you're a nice person, you can come and join us in the Telegram group. The invite is down below. So Harry started his new channel, and what's bizarre about it is that what Harry talked about, I saw the video today, is exactly what I already had planned to talk about because I talked to the emissaries about it. So what I'm saying is this very similar message that just keeps spreading at the same time. Very similar messages from lots of people. So I think we're all connected. We're all connected and we're all being guided to give very similar messages, yeah? At the right time, you know? Food at the right time. So let me tell you a story. So this man, it's actually a joke. This man goes for a job, okay? And he goes to the job interview and there's another guy there with him. And so the first guy goes in and the man, there's only one man doing the interview, and he said, so you do understand that, you know, based on this interview, we decide whether you get the job or not. And the man said, yes, I understand that. He said, so I'm going to ask you just a simple question. He said, what is 2 plus 2? And the guy said, well, it's 4. He said, thank you very much. We'd like you to wait in the waiting room. Okay. And the next man comes in and the guy says the same thing to him. You know, this is the interview for the job. We make the decision today whether you have the job or not. I just want you to answer this simple question. He said, so what is 2 plus 2? The man thinks and he says, well, whatever the boss says it is. The guy said, you've got the job. Okay. That is the world in which we have lived. Has nothing to do with truth or what's obvious or what's right. It just has to do with who's paying your money. Yeah. That's where we've been. And that's where we're moving away from, to something so much more beautiful, where 2 and 2 might be different to 4. But normally it's 4. But it could be something else. But hey, the answer's not based on what somebody pays you. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Great Awakening. And this is kind of insights that I was given. And it's obvious. I know it's obvious, but I just still wanted to mention it. The Great Awakening, when I was talking to the emissaries about it, they said, oh, but you know that the Great Awakening isn't people waking up to what the world is. That's just the very first step. That's just really just getting a foothold on the process of the Great Awakening. They said waking up to the world is just like, you know, just finding out, hang on, there's something more than what it is that we think we've been living in. And they said the Great Awakening is the process of us awakening to who we are. Yeah, to who we are. And Harry put it very nicely in his video, you know, that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And what the emissaries were talking about, what they said was that the process of the Great Awakening never finishes. You see, lots of times I think we want it to have a demarcation line of asleep awake. And it starts now, and that's it. Now we're in the age of light, the golden age, and everything's beautiful and blah blah blah. And it's not that. And the emissaries have said this over and over again. It's not. It's an incremental awakening to who we are, which effectively is we are gods because we're part of God. We were made in His or her or their or its image, and so that's basically where we've got to get back to. That is the awakening. The final step is where we realize exactly what we are. And it's not realizing it either. I suppose the last step is actually being it, actualizing it, becoming, which in essence is the return to God, is it not? Returning to source. It's being God again. All right, so that's the process. So we are just in God, we're right at the beginning. We're in the tiny, infinitesimal, small, very, very small beginning point. But I said to them, this awakening to ourselves, to what we are, to our potential, will I live to see it? And they said, you're already seeing it. However, don't think that you've got to live to see it all, because you won't, because it's the entire process. It's from now until the end, I suppose, until the fall again, when we start falling and going back into that cycle. If that cycle continues, I don't know. Some people say, oh no, this is the last cycle, and no more. I think that's just optimistic thinking, personally. I think it's optimistic thinking. I think everyone's so pissed off with it. They go, oh, this is the last cycle. Everyone's going, yeah, that really resonates with me. That really resonates with me. We know why it resonates, yeah? Because that's what we want. However, the Great Awakening is this process right the way through to I suppose, the point that we reach the very, very, very ultimate, highest point of who we are. Yeah? And then, I don't know. Then do we say, right, let's start again? Because, at the end of Monopoly, when somebody wins and everybody else is really upset, and they've got all the wadges of cash and everything, and they're feeling really good about themselves, what do? Well, we all have to sort the money out, and we put it back in the box, and we put all the pieces back in the box, and we put the lid back on. And then, a few days later, when we've had a bit of a break, because it gets a bit boring, you don't want to play it every day, do you? Then we get it back out again, and we start from zero. That's the whole point of a game, is it not? And I think that's kind of where we get to, that it's like when if you've been doing anything, I don't know, fell walking, and you've just walked 50 miles, 100 miles, you get back home and you go, phew, I've had enough of that. Now I'm going to sit down and have a cup of tea. Yeah. And you don't want to be going fell walking again that same day, nor probably the next day, nor the next day. But when a week's passed, you got itchy feet again. You go, hey, I think it's time to get that under that fell and do some wagging. Okay, so I think that's where we are. I think this is intrinsically who we are. That we get tired and we get weary and we say, right, that's beautiful and lovely and I've had a wonderful experience. Now I need a break and now I'm ready to go again. Okay? And I think that's why we have this cycle. That's why this cycle exists. So the emissary said, there's no hurry. Don't think that you've got to hurry this process along. Don't wish it away. Don't wish it away. Don't look at it like it's forever, but it is forever. Okay, Elton John there. Elton John coming in. So, last bit, I want to talk about cults, right? Because we were talking about cults the other week, and I've got to say, tons of great feedback from everybody when I was sort of, making comparisons with the Truther movement and all of that. It wasn't a criticism of the Truther movement, by the way. Not at all. Not at all. I just wanted, and I wasn't saying that was a good thing or a bad thing. I was just throwing it out there as something that I observed, okay? But I asked the emissaries, I said, why do cults exist? My entire life has been spent either being in a cult, helping people who've been in cults, dropping accidentally into cults and then coming back out of them. That's what my whole life has been. Observing cults, studying them, and that's what the emissary said, just as an aside, that was one of my purposes to come here, and that was going to be my focus. But the reason, I think, is because they are so prevalent and prolific. And the emissary said that cults exist because they cater to the perceived needs of humankind, or the needs that humankind perceive themselves to have, better said. So I was curious about the word perceived when they use that, because they don't use words lightly. And I thought that's unusual, you know, the needs that people perceive that they have. And they said that the perceived needs are to belong to a group, to have a purpose, to have clear rules. People like clear rules. To have a goal to work to, something to work toward, and to have a claim and respect. That's kind of what they said were these perceived needs. But then they said that they are not real needs. They are not needs at all. They're only needs to the egoic mind, to the ego. The ego believes that it needs to belong. It believes that it needs to have a purpose. It believes all of these things. When in fact, when the ego is silenced, we don't need anything. And that's the difference. And that's the secret. Yeah, is it nice to belong? Of course it is. Is it nice to have a purpose? Beautiful. But we just don't need it. Why don't we need it? Because we are created in God's image. We're God's. We don't need all of that. So what the emissary said was, once we know who we are, and once we know what we are, then we don't need any of that. And therefore, cults will only exist for as long as people believe that that's what they need. And when they realize that they don't need anything, when we realize that no matter what we think we are, we're more than that, that's when cults will just disappear completely. There will be no need for them, because they will be fulfilling something that we don't need anymore. When we know that we're enough as we are, without anything. You know the story, I'll leave you the story of the guy who had interviewed gurus around the world, you know, wise men, gurus, and he traveled to this country to see this really, really renowned guru who everybody talked about. And he'd already arranged to see the guru, and the guru said, just come round to my home and we'll talk there. So the guy came in and he sat down with the guru, and he looked around and he noticed that in the room, it was a one-room house. There was a bed, a sink, and a toilet. And he said to the guru, he said, but you're a renowned world guru. He said, and yet, you've hardly got anything here. You've got nothing, no possessions. And the guru said to him, well, I notice you haven't got any possessions either. Why is that? And the guy said, oh, well, I'm only here just visiting. He said, yeah, so am I. And that's, once we get to that stage, then that's when we don't need anything. Everything is just a bonus. So that's all. I love you all. Thank you very much for spending time with me, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.